Hey, what's up, family? So today is a phenomenal day, man. I'm over here chilling with some of my brothers to talk about how we win. The name of this podcast, this is the first one, y'all. Firstly, I'm excited to be in the room with each and every one of you guys. But this is the All I Do Is Win podcast by the Center for Male Engagement of Pierce College. And we're doing something that I've never seen before, right? I ain't gonna say that we created the podcast space, but I have not seen male-centered, black male-centered podcasts in higher ed. Have y'all seen it?
No.
Yeah. And if it is out there, ring me up, have me on as a guest or something. but now we're gonna stand on this. We're gonna double down on the fact that we're trailblazing something that's really needed, especially for the city of Philadelphia and the surrounding area. So today we're gonna be diving into some really dope conversation. I'm really looking forward to what's gonna come from that, the value that's gonna come, and also setting the stage for a series that's gonna continue over episodes that's really gonna add value and just bridge the community and grow our community that's one of the things that we know we all need, right?
Definitely.
Right. So once again, the All I Do Is Win podcast by the Center for Male Engagement at Pierce College. Let's go. So firstly, I want to start off just by a quick introduction. So we have a few fellas in the room, like I said, and I want us to get an idea of who we have in the room. So give me like 15 seconds of first your name and like what you do, but like in a canned perspective, right? Only 15. I know y'all could talk about what y'all do, right? It's not fair to only say 15 seconds, but that's the challenge. We'll start over there.
All right. For me, I'm Kyle Glover. I own Glover Media, multimedia company that we do a lot with radio, video, just content creation. I also do artist management and consulting within the music industry.
Nice.
Yeah, my name is Douglas Reed. I am, I like to call myself an ambassador for Black men. I'm retired from a couple different things, working in the federal prison, military, but right now, just about male empowerment. I do events and also podcasts, Let's Go Show podcasts, almost like this. So my whole thing is just pushing positivity within the Black community.
Nice.
How you doing? My name's Saquon. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a restaurant owner, celebrity chef. So yeah.
What's up, y'all? My name is John McNeil. Lifelong producer, musician, and entrepreneur. Work in music tech specifically. Just had an online platform selling royalty-free samples to producers. And now just going further in that space with more entrepreneurship as well.
Nice. And for those that don't know, I'm the director of the Center for Male Engagement at Pierce College. And my life's work is really about just providing supports and giving back to the community in whatever way I can. And this is just another platform with which to do that. We want to make the content palatable, right? They say if a tree falls in the forest, but no one's there to hear it, did it make a sound, right? I want to make sure that this work makes a sound. So that's why we're here today. And just to bridge over to the next phase of this conversation, talking about making a sound, when I think of Coach Prime and what's happening over there in Colorado.
Yeah.
The new HBCU.
Colorado. I think they're is their mascot a yak or something like that? I'm like, what is this beast they have coming out? Like, I've never even seen that.
Yak, I thought about Hennessy.
That's Coach Prime.
But real talk, right? Like talking about making a sound.
Yeah.
He turned this franchise, which isn't a franchise, which is an institution. He turned it around like a franchise with unprecedented form, right? Like I saw a candid post that said that Colorado's tickets were only costed about $140 on average, but now it's like $560 on average for a college game.
Mark on it is crazy.
Right.
Crazy.
Come on.
And sold out.
Come on.
And sold out.
Yeah.
Sold out.
Since it started, they've been sold out.
Sold out.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So making it sound like what? How would you rate his impact to the game at this point?
I think his impact is astronomical, right? Because one thing that he did where he knew his value, So he went in already saying, this is what's going to happen, right? So us as black men, when we go into environments and we know our value, now we can dictate what happens. And I think he's a viable example of what that looks like, of going into, he went into a majority white space, right? Not just about college football, but the institution that he chose, and the state that he chose, and the city that he chose, and he flipped it and showed the power of what a black man can do when you know your worth and you walk in confident.
And I think about too, like, all these guys are entrepreneurs. Like, he's a marketing genius. When we start talking about in the past when he was when he was a rookie, he was driving up in limos, talking about prime time. So even
that vision for a long
all
time.
that vision. So he's a marketing genius, and actually turned this thing into millions and millions of dollars. Same thing. You guys got businesses. It's about putting that market out there and to get the support. Let's not forget everybody that is supporting him. You guys are entrepreneurs. We need that community support. So he's definitely a marketing genius.
And that's a good point, because I remember, I think it was before the game before last. I think it was the third game. I can't remember who it was against, the name of the team. Colorado State. And they had that conversation about the shades. The coach was trying to throw shade to him because he's wearing shades and he's wearing hats. And he used that, to your point, Doug, about marketing genius, to take his glasses sales through the roof.
Right.
Where now they're back ordered right now. You can't get them now if you want them.
Right.
And I ain't gonna lie, I looked just to see how much I'm not a Coach Prom shades type of dude, but I was like, let me see how much these things cost. And you couldn't get them if you wanted them.
Right. But also, too, it made you want to support, right? Because of the narrative that was written. Right? So,
It's personal.
It became personal. Right. It became personal. Because they started talking about, well, my mom raised me right. Well, you trying to say my mama didn't raise me right? Prime had his mom come up there and address the team. It was like, go get him. It was definitely genius.
And for him in 2023 to reevaluate himself and be prime again. Right? So that's even bigger. You get what I'm saying? Because we all know Deion Sanders, man. That he was that guy back. That guy, right? So to do it again in 2023 in a different form, it shows how incredible, and like you said, how his mindset is and where he thought it and where he wanted to take it to. So definitely.
But one toe lost.
Yes.
Still
one
prime.
toe.
The thing that shouts to me real crazy is the power of influence, though, too, and legacy. Like, his sons are playing on a team. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I mean, Shador looks like a top prospect, Heisman prospect. Like, the kid is good, but it's because of that legacy and the influence that his father has had on him. And a couple other guys that his dad even coached when they were in Little League, too. So it's like, he's always been about influencing and empowering these guys. And now we're just seeing it in droves now, because of the things he was already doing and people didn't really know. He talked about it in one interview. He was like, I've always been coaching some of these guys. Y'all just haven't seen it. So
the light wasn't on him at that time.
Exactly.
He don't even care about the light, though. That's crazy about it, right? Because like you said, he's been doing it for so many years. He know he can go make it the biggest publicity if he want. But he wanted to do it the right way. Take my name out of it. I really want y'all to see for what it is and what y'all can do. And that showed. That's why I think he's getting the love and the support that he has now, because how he carried himself over the years as a real stand-up individual.
Right. I said to a couple of fellas the other day, I said, honestly, this last, so they're 3-1 now, right? So they had a loss. They took a L, 1 L. But I told some buddies the other day, there was a lot of pressure for him to win this game against Oregon, right? Oregon is a top 10 team, prolific offense over the past decade. They've been in the picture at the top of cream of the crop, right? And there was almost someone said, Prime better win this one. He better get this one. And I was like, is that really fair? For everything that's been done over these past, I'll say even going back to what he was doing at Jackson State. Just the transition from him being a TV analyst to coming over into coaching and being undefeated and then starting off 3-0.
We don't want to talk about how no one cared about that. at the HBCU situation.
Come on.
Right.
Come on. Right? Right?
Absolutely right.
And also how his sons were prolific there,
Yes.
but no one wanted to give them their flowers.
Right.
Brady was still coaching them there,
Yes.
but no one cared about that
Right.
because of the platform he's in. So that's a whole nother podcast, right?
Right. The platform matters.
Definitely.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Definitely.
But what do you guys think about just the pressure that seems to be projected onto him? I think he does a great job of kind of like letting the water roll off his back.
I mean, I think for the simple fact that, well, one, he knows the game. You know, even going against Oregon, the simple fact that he knows what his team is capable of doing and who he's facing. He knows who his opponent is. So now when we talk about the stress, he knows the stress of the game, his talent, the skills and abilities of his team. The stress and the pressure comes from what he's been doing all these years, is the media. Because now it's the outside sources that are looking on him like, you got to win. He knows what he's capable of. So how he handles that is, and of course he's very articulate. He knows everything about the game to actually be able to compare himself. And like the statement that he said, you better get me now. You know what I mean? Like he knows the position of his team. Like, get me now, because in these upcoming years, those same players that you have, I'll get in my stable. So now that pressure comes off. So being a coach, he knows the pressure of the game is how he handles it. He's doing very well doing it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, also, I'll speak to the unfairness part of it, to where that pressure is there because they don't want to see him win, right? Mm-hmm. Because he has that confidence, because he is prime time, right? So it's almost as if he went into that all-white institution, because the whole team was pretty much all white.
Yeah.
In that state, in that city, there are people that don't want to see him succeed just because of that, right? So now that's a whole nother piece of pressure that he has to now deal with and now navigate through, because now it's just like, I just don't want you to succeed, not because you can't do it, just because I don't want to see you do it.
Mm.
You know what? He made a statement. My confidence affect your insecurity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, and we deal with that within our black community. I mean, because, we have to operate with a level of confidence because of, our backgrounds and coming out of marginalized community. Yeah. So there's always a sense of insecurity. But now we gain that confidence. Like I said, I mean, for me just to be on this panel with you guys, entrepreneurs, I mean, speaks a lot because you have to gain the confidence. And we talked about it previously, like there's no such thing as failure. Yeah. All we do is win, because the thing about it is, it's just not the desired outcome that we wanted. Yeah. Henceforth to try again. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that confidence continues to build, not only for his team, the community, but everybody. Everybody's involved with it, because it's all about the confidence and not feeling insecure.
Yeah, absolutely. I like too how even, I didn't get to watch the whole game, but I did make sure I watched certain elements. It's tough. I'm going to be honest. It's tough to watch a whole game nowadays, just the amount of time and commitment it takes to tie into a game. But I will catch the recaps, right? I will drop in and drop out. But I always make sure I see those post-interviews, right? Post-game interviews. And people were asking them a lot of questions. They kept talking about the recap of the other coaches of Oregon's statements about, hey, this isn't about showtime, this is about our time, all these different phrases they were using to kind of like bring down the image of him. And something that Deion said, which I thought was really interesting perspective, is that I'm not worried about us losing, because most of these teams we're facing aren't trying to beat my team, they're trying to beat me.
Yeah.
And for him to carry that
powerful
and wear that and kind of precede with that, how much strength does it take? How broad do your shoulders have to be to say that I know people are coming for me, but I'm still gonna protect, cultivate my kids to make sure that they have what they need to move forward? What are your thoughts on that?
Now, I had to go back. I think about that statement that Coach made, that, we're not here for the clicks, but this is the all we do is win podcast. Yeah. As a coach, I'm gonna say whatever I got to say to build that confidence for my team to win.
Yeah,
that's what a coach do. You know what I mean? Even the media they grabbed it and they ran with it. But if I'm the coach, of course I'm gonna say stuff like that.
Right.
I'm gonna say anything that's gonna build the confidence in them young men to go out there and win that game.
Yeah.
So that you know, and coming from a coaching perspective, you get that. But once again, it's the media that actually, you know, downgrades everything and turns a positive into a negative for us to go, because that gets clicks, that gets likes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think when we talk about that, I think the pressure, the stress, the ulterior motives that go into the attacks that we've seen on him, I kind of want to bridge it over to now a conversation about just black men in general and what our experiences have been, because I feel like there's a lot of shade that's thrown to the perception of what it means to be excellent as a black man. There's a very small box that successful black men are expected to fit in. And I kind of want us to kind of talk a little bit about just how we've navigated that as individuals, knowing that the spaces that we've gone into have kind of already had a cookie cutter of how they want you to fit, right? But I'm coming to set to trailblaze something new that's never been seen because I'm unique. My fingerprint is unique, but I got to come in and match somebody else's intensity. Why, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I mean, we all have had it from a young age, you know, from my father to any parents telling me how much I have to over succeed just because, you know, of being black. And that's just being ingrained in us. But we don't understand sometimes what it does to us. Like that pressure and feeling that reality of navigating in a space where you are a minority and all eyes are on you. People are expecting different things. We don't understand that us just being who we are is a success, man. Like just resting in that and knowing that you don't have to strive to prove, but just to be. Even on that last piece on Dion, he said something else in that interview. He said, "This is the worst you'll see us." And anyone who's succeeded on a high level or won for a long amount of time, they know what it means to lose, and they know what adjustments you need to make, and they actually know that you do need to lose to actually be a great winner.
Yeah.
Because the most data-rich thing you can do is fail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because what do you do when you fail? You make adjustments.
Say that again, Doc.
The most data-rich thing you can do is fail. And I mean, just from being a business owner, one of the businesses I built, we sold it 3 years ago. So I work for that company now that bought us. But before that, we had so many companies that failed. Technically, if you want to say, if you want to call it like it doesn't exist anymore. But to me, it wasn't a failure. It was a data-rich thing that I used to make adjustments. So the one that worked was on the back of all of those other trial runs and failures in some folks' eyes, but it wasn't a failure. So just redefining that kind of, I think peace is good for us as black men, because so many times I think we take those failures to heart and don't understand that they're a part of this story toward actually succeeding and winning. And yeah, man. I don't know if that answered the question, but I just felt that.
Yeah. Word.
You know, like Jay-Z said, you got to know how to move in the room for the vultures, right? So that just come with us as black men, right? I think when we walk in the room, they already see us as failure, right? So that's why when you said our parents, right, they put confidence in us from a youngin', right? We walk with that as black men. We walk with confidence, right? But it can be broken down, right? It can be broken down by our peers, and it could be broken down by the system or, you know, the other side, right? But I think it's when you walk in that room, you just got to walk with your head high, no matter what they say or what's coming at you. You know what I mean? Because we all go through obstacles in life that's going to challenge us. But if you have that confidence and you know what you want to do, I think you're always going to achieve, you know, because that's just who we are. Within us as a black man, every black man I talk to, very intelligent, very confident, right? But we get broken down by the system that takes something away from us, that make us lose focus on the main goal. You know what I mean? So I think, you know, you just gotta know how to move in a room full of vultures, and we're gonna succeed.
Yeah, and I'll put this on it because, you know, I'm the oldest here, so being the elder,
OG.
I got a lot of lived experience.
Yeah.
And with that, you know, military work, and I'll use the working in the prison as a foundation. And I say that because I took that job coming out of the military at the height of the crack law. Now, my vision, my eyes, I'm seeing everybody per se in reality that I know. You know, not personally, but I know from my community. You know what I mean? So being able to, I always say to adjust, adapt, and overcome. I spent a whole career, and even being in the military, and I'll keep putting it out there about all we do is win, and you guys being entrepreneurs, because I was contained for so many years because that's just my environment, being in a contained environment. Like people say now, just like say, OG, like, yo, you doing it big, because I'm not contained. You understand what I'm saying? There's nothing that's containing me. I have my security from pensions or whatever, but I'm not contained. So I'm living the life that I always wanted and desired. It's just coming at a different state. So that's the stress, and just being Black in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just walking out, just the the eyes we get, or walking into their rooms like, is he supposed to be here? Well, yeah, I am supposed to be here.
Yeah, that's what
You know what I mean? So, like you said, definitely changing that mindset to be the best that we should be.
And I want to say real quick, I'm gonna pass it back over to you, Kyle. But that's one of the reasons why the panel looks like it does, right? I think one of the biggest things that we struggle with as Black men, separate from systematic fatherlessness, not saying that everyone doesn't have a father, right? But the fact that my father didn't have his father, right? So it's always normally one generation away where fatherlessness was present. So you're either trying to make up for the fact that your father wasn't there, or your father was there, but he wasn't really a father, or the representation of fatherhood that you had around you was never healthy, was toxic in some kind of a way. And I think one of the things that we always have to do as we're succeeding way too often is start alone. We don't get to really see that intergenerational bridge between fellas that are 50 and up, 60 and up, 40 and up. Like most spaces, when we even look at podcasts, right? It's people that are peers. We're all sharing, but we all started from the same spot and we're around the same space. But where are those bridges to say where someone who's on an OG status can say, I've lived twice as long as you, and I'm gonna give you all the game. I'm gonna give you the play, right? The game might change a little bit, but nothing's new under the sun, right? So I think that's something I really just want to say is that this space is intentional and it's different, because I always want there to be an intergenerational perspective where we see what younger folks are doing now, what middle folks are doing now, what senior folks are doing now, because everybody has a perspective that I think is needed for our community to really be whole and to really be able to move forward.
When you start talking about generations, I'm considered a baby boomer. And one of the things I'll say, even for myself, that I've encountered is, even with my son in that communication process, I had a problem in not just talking to him, but talking at him. You know what I mean? And that distracts from the communication process, because I've been in a circle and they'd be like, "Yo, we try to talk to the OGs, but the OGs are always talking to us like we were their sons. We're not their sons. We're men, and we actually can learn from each other. You know what I mean? But we always got to be willing to listen, and that's what happens. They always say you got to be slow, slow to talk. I forget the phrase.
To hear.
To hear and quick to listen. Because that's where the communication, that's where those barriers are going to be broken, especially if we moving as one, we moving in unity. We're going to have to listen to the other generations in order to get through the obstacles that we're facing.
Definitely. I agree.
Where do y'all get that voice that tells you, leads you, as people that have been successful in different areas? I know for me, it's been interesting because a lot of the people that are in closest proximity, I've exceeded. So it's not necessarily to say that when you're in the same space that you know what it is to do what I'm doing. And I think a lot of us have, trailblazed enough where that's probably a similar narrative in some way where, even speaking to Saquon, like, do you have someone that's an older head that showed you how to run restaurants, multiple food service industries, or did you just have to figure it out? You know what I'm saying?
I had to figure it out. Yeah, I had to figure it out. I had to figure it out. I do have a few people. I'm not gonna say a few people. I have one person who I go to, but at the same time, we start out together too, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess when we just talk, we all in different spaces, right? But in the same space, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess when we talk to each other, it's like, oh, you went through that, so how did you overcome it? And we just figured out through each other, right? But going back to what you're saying, it's not a lot of people that that I really could call on and be like, ask for help. for me, to really be honest, for me, I already set it up in my head for the next 7 years I'm losing. As far as, right? I know I'm losing because I stepped into a game I don't have no knowledge about. But I have confidence and I can bet it all on myself. So I know I'm gonna lose. So I'm cool with that. But after that 7 years, I'm winning, right? So I'm with, so to be honest, no, I don't have no one I could call on. I just go through the trials and figure it out. And, and at the end of the day, it works for me though, because a lot of people, like I said, if I know I'm failing already, and the reason why I put myself in that failure, because like I said, there's no one I could call and be like, yo, how did you get through this? What exactly happened, right? So like they say, opening up on Market Street is gonna be the hardest thing. You can't do it. No, it's not even gonna be the hardest thing. You can't do it. You can't do it. I was like, why can't I do it? Why? Nobody gave me the reason why it can't be done though. They just say you can't. But why? Why? Right.
Nobody can answer.
Nobody can answer why, right? But then I did it, and then I did it in 30 days. But I was like, it happened in 30 days. Why they said it's hard? You get what I'm saying? So, and then that's how I just look at everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything. Oh, I might be audit, all right? I get audit, like, oh, dang, this was messed up. All right, you know what? Nah, I know not to do that next time, right? Dang, I took a big loss. I got to pay all this back. But it's just trials that I go through. Like I said, I'm going to take them losses over this next 7 years or whatever. But at the end of the day, I know I'm winning. I know I'm winning because what I'm doing out of love and real, So that's how I balance out for me.
I will say that I guess to kind of help through that, I guess we have to all be open-minded to where be open to change, right? Because the same way seasons change, circles change. And a lot of times us, from a culturally standpoint, to where we always want to hold on to who we grew up with or hold on to who we started out with. But in reality, we can't take everyone to every table, right? We can't take everyone to everywhere
That's
we
a
go.
bar right there.
Right.
Say
So
that again.
We can't take everyone to every table.
You got to look at that camera.
You can't take everyone to every table. No, but in reality, what happens is when you take the wrong person to the table, they eat up the harvest before you have a chance to distribute it properly. And so that's why we really have to like move in a way and be open to it and not take on the narrative, oh, you changed, you're wrong, or it's a bad thing because you grew, right? And that's the only way we'll be able to become successful and to surround ourselves by people who can actually help us if we're willing to go ahead and move into a different circle because I understood my season changed.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Going into what you just said, like you said, we have to change, right? But the way we grew up, like you just said, right? The way we grew up in our head is don't change.
Yeah.
So you fighting a battle within your head, right? Like they say, don't change. Because that's all we know. Yo, you better not change.
Don't forget where you came from.
Don't forget where you came from. Then when you say it, then you like, damn.
I changed.
Right? But then I guess, as you grow, then you be like, I changed for the better though, because at the end of the day, it's not that I changed. It's not that you really changed, it's that the circumstances like that surrounds you, like that's what changed. So it's not that I changed within myself. I just changed the circumstances that's around me. Right. And at the end of the day, I'm changing it for you. But a lot of people is still ignorant because it's not happening to them. So they don't see the growth. Right? Yeah. So they'll be like, oh, you do. But in reality, no, I'm doing this for us.
Yeah.
But you don't see it. You don't see it until a person I don't know say it's a go.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I find it very interesting. I was just thinking about this. Of course, I would say, and we, from a spiritual standpoint, God has given us this gift. But I think unconsciously, right, going back to what he was saying, like, it's our past and everybody that molded us. You know what I mean? Because that mold, when we go through, stand on this positive tip, stand with confidence, subconsciously we do it. But it's how we were molded. Like in our minds, I can only speak. It's like, I'm not going to lose. You know what I mean? Or if I see something, or if there's an objective that I'm trying to get to, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there versus trial or error. Yeah. Because I'm just going to keep pushing. But that's come from my mold. People that molded me, and probably I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
But I was watching him. You know, and going back to setting these examples, there was always somebody I watched. You know what I mean? If there was
Someone
anybody that I
intrigued you,
talked to,
like,
there was somebody I was watching. You know, I got an uncle. I was watching him. I didn't speak to him all the time, but I was watching him, and he had success in his business.
When you get around a family, uncle, then you be like, oh, he did that.
Yeah, and you kind of find out.
Yeah. So you be like,
And to bring it back, we don't do that enough in our families because our family end up being our competitors.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because he just, what happens is your family will tell you, no, you can't do this, you can't do this. And a complete stranger will tell you, oh, bro, I appreciate what you did. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that was amazing. But your family is kicking your back in. Like, yo, no, you shouldn't have did that. Don't open up on market. Look, how you know? Did you open a business there before? And a lot of things that we step out on faith and we do, a lot of people ain't even been in those spaces to even tell us how they succeeded or didn't succeed. You know, so I think, I think it's the foundation as far as how we were built. You know, we think about most influential, which was my mom, and I'm pretty sure we got people that in your life that was, really influential in your life. That's the mode that you actually there. Like, real talk. We are the legacy. We writing the new book.
I was about to say that.
Let me jump in here because I want to talk about resilience a little bit, right? Because what I hear is the soundtrack of resiliency. When you mention that, and I believe that there's even a legacy that goes beyond what we're familiar with. There's a lot of movies. I'm a movie buff. I love movies. Movie quality overall has gone downhill. Like these movies that come out when they say 2023, I'm questionable. I'm like, oh man, like I need it to be like before 2005 for it to really be a good story. But one of the things I remember in like really good stories is the story of someone who's from like a great space and then they get lost or someone thinks someone is dead and then they grow up in this common existence and they have all this wealth, all this value, all this skill within them. And then something happens that causes their greatness to kind of like emerge. Right. And it's like this whole time, you were never where you started off at. You were always connected to something bigger and better and badder. And I think that's for us so profound because a lot of us don't have even generational connections beyond our grandma. You know, some of us are blessed to know our great grands or whatever, but I'll say the further back we go, the blurrier it gets. We don't have those connections that go back. If you're African American, that transitioned into America through slavery, at least, because every African diaspora doesn't have this narrative, right? But if you were a byproduct of slavery, which a lot of us are, you don't have 4 generations back information.
4 generations.
But one of the things that I think is interesting. That 4 generations is not that long ago.
That's what I said. That's crazy. That's right there.
4 generations is not that long ago, right? And not only that, one of the things that I thought was really interesting too was that I have a few different businesses, a lot of different things that I've started up that my parents didn't coach me in, but I just kind of had like this inner drive. And my grandma had passed information down to my mother where she said, you know what you remind me of? You remind me of my great uncle, such and such, and they had a last name for him or whatever. And he was into entrepreneurship and he did da-da-da-da-da. And for me, I was sitting there like, what? I've never heard about this. I'm already in my mid-30s just hearing about this person that was generations back. And I wonder how much of our journeys, right, are really hidden. Because we don't have a connection to our legacy, so we're seeing things within us, right? So we end up automatically having that competition where it's like, because I'm familiar with you, you hinted that word a little earlier, because I'm familiar with you, I can't see you go farther than I can see myself. Because if you go further than me, then what does that say about me? Right?
I'm envious.
Versus what's the most that I can get out of myself? What's the most that I can achieve? What's the most that I can see? And who's going to help me go get it?
Yeah. Man, that's a word. It's about us working together. I wanted to say, I mean, it's really about us writing, like you said, these new legacies, these new histories, these new funnels of mentorship, these new communities where we're working together. It's happening. It's happening around us. I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
Like, it's beautiful. I was very blessed to the business that I sold was with my brothers.
Nice.
You know, and I'll tell you, the stories don't always go that way, you know. Money gets involved and family stuff gets kind of crazy and all that. But there is a way, and it is about us working together. It's if you want to go fast, go alone, they say, but if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
And it's you gotta work together.
Look to the camera.
Yeah.
Fourth level.
Fourth level. Yeah, we gotta work together, y'all. We're stronger together, and that resiliency piece is big. I mean, during that time when I was working on that one business, it was called Soul Surplus. By the way, we were a sample-based company where we would sell royalty-free soul samples to different producers for them to create music. But during that time, I got hit with autoimmune disease symptoms. It was so crazy. I was bedridden. And my brothers just picked up the slack for me. And with me showing up each day, still sick, it was inspiring them to go harder. Then we hit one of our toughest times that summer, right when I got better. It was like 3 years better when I got better. And right when I got like better health-wise, we hit really rough times on business. We had to really tighten up. It was right before pandemic stuff. To me, it was interesting where that didn't seem that bad because I remembered what it felt like when my prayer every day was, yo, I just want to feel better in my body. So like business going on, I was like, that's nothing. I'm actually healthy. And I was able to jump in that time and really go crazy because of them holding me down before. So resiliency to me is definitely a piece of this journey and a part of winning, but you need to do it together. We got to do it together, man.
There's something that even prompts for me, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this, right? So I can't remember who was talking about this, but they were talking about, I wish I could give credit to whoever mentioned this, but they were talking about P. Diddy. And they were like, yo, P. Diddy is a black man who's a phenomenal marketer, right? But he's done an excellent job of separating who he is from what he does. Where when you look at P. Diddy, it's automatic success. But he has a lot of different things that he's done that's fail. Like nobody wants to wear Sean John right now. Right? Nobody's trying to wear that. Nobody's trying to listen to any music from Making the Band.
For sure.
Right? But that hasn't redefined him as an individual. It seems like sometimes we have this pressure whenever we do something that almost as if whatever we're building, whatever we're starting, whatever we're launching is interconnected to the entity of me. And he's done an excellent job of separating himself from that, where he's a success because of his constant pursuit of successful ventures. And some things have worked, some things haven't. But even if all of his ventures, if Ciroc was like, nah, we good on you, he's still P. Diddy.
And you saw what he did recently. He gave back the rights to all the artists on Bad Boy, which to me points to what we were saying is like he knows he didn't get there alone. It was on the backs of a lot of those artists. And he's thanking them for that right now by giving them their rights back. I mean, which they should have had anyway. But
They signed a contract.
They signed a contract.
I was gonna say I agree to that in a way, but not really. I got you. Signed the contract, right? It's a business, right? So at the end of the day, I mean,
but that shows his heart, though.
But that
right?
shows his heart,
Absolutely.
yo. But that shows his heart. But that shows his heart now because at the end of the day, he had to grow to understand life to get to this point to be like, you know what? I don't really need that. Money isn't everything. I think that's where he got to, where he's like, you know what? It's all about living because once he lost the mother of his child, I think that's when life really took to hold for him. And it's like, you know what? It ain't about the money. It's about having the loved ones around. You know what? Y'all can take all this. Because I know I'm going to still be good. My kid's going to be good. So I felt that's what happened. And you just start loving life for what it is. And that's what I see Diddy at now. I think he's just loving life, loving his kids. Because at one time, Diddy he had to be in the spotlight to be, you know what I mean? If Diddy wasn't in the spotlight, it's like Diddy going through a mid-crisis. You know what I mean? But now Diddy like, I don't even want the spotlight. I'm cool now, right? So now, you know what? I want everybody to be happy. And I think that just come with him growing. And then the new people that's around him too. Because the new people around him could be like, man, stop. And the old people was like, oh, do what you want to do and just giving him the free for all. So I think that just come with growth and, you know, and that's where I see it at.
I would say, even to piggyback off that, it was the prophet, Sean Carter, who said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And I think that's one of the things that Diddy tapped into was building his own brand and not becoming the brand of what he was building. If that makes sense. A lot of times what we do is, you know, we'll build this entity up and we attach ourselves to that. And then when it's no longer, then we're done too.
And then it's reversed, right?
Yeah.
So Diddy he is Diddy who he is and his business who he is, right? But if you look at Jay now, Jay is the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So they both going on two different, they both successful, but they carry it in two different ways.
Yeah.
Jay is the business, like, no, I am the business.
Right.
Diddy, like, no, I'm not the business. I'm just showing y'all how to, everything else is business. Don't put me into it, right?
Right.
So, and they both successful off of that. But I think, like, even with Jay, like, Jay done a lot of stuff that fell too. A lot of things that fell, right? But he did a lot of things that was successful. But I don't think his business, for me, I don't think it's his business ideas that got him to where he at. I think it's just how he move and how he think we all intrigued with. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's bigger than selling $1 billion business. I think just how he speak, how he carry himself, it's so intriguing. And you be like, dang, it's something different about him. Like, I don't know, for me, him, 50 Cent, Snoop, it's just something about them that when they talk, you just gotta be quiet. Don't let a penny drop. Let me just listen to everything and soak it. You know what I mean?
That kind of takes us back to that age-old question, though, right? Would you take 50,000
I'm
or
going with Jay.
or lunch with Jay-Z?
I'll say a
Don't
couple
answer
things.
that. I'm just joking.
like one, even for me, and it could be the answer to it all. Like at this stage in my life, I'm not chasing money. And there's a whole nother level of peace when you don't have to chase the money. You know, like I said, even the entrepreneurs, I mean, money is a big part of what you do. Passion is a big part of it, because I've done things where out of passion, and jokers be like, yo, you didn't get paid? Like, nah, well, you should have got paid. You know what I mean? But when you stop chasing the money and just use your business mindset to take care of all your business the way you're supposed to, but when you stop chasing the money, makes such a big difference, because now you're doing things the way business is ran. And I think another thing that we have to do, and going back, because I think it all evolves around, we got to start sharing our stories.
Yeah.
You know, because all this, everything that we said, that we start telling our stories. You know, I should know his story. Y'all should know my story, because now this is how the legacy continues.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about 4 generations. How many of us can actually go back 4 generations and know the complete story behind it? That gives us that resilience to know what people, you know, we talking about the Reconstruction years. Like when we start talking about history, everybody want to go right back to slavery. Right. No, what about the Reconstruction years? What about them years that we were doing well? And you know, your family member might have been in that era, you know, in those 20s and 30s. Even when you go to the African American Museum, there's a part of history that's missing. And those are those years. So that resilience has always been there. Yeah. We just got to go back to get those stories and then actually relive their story. Who was it? Nipsey? You know, I'm the old cat.
Nipsey.
The marathon continues, baby. You know?
Yeah. And I think education is intersected to that, right? And I think that the platform of education is so different. And of course, we're here on an education platform of higher education.
Yes.
And I think there's a quote from Thomas Henry Huxley. And he says that perhaps the greatest value of all education is that education makes you do what has to be done, whether you like it or not. This is the first lesson that ought to be learned. And I love that quote, because that's what you have to execute, even if you were not a byproduct of, let's say, the brick and mortar higher education space. You had to do what you had to do, whether you liked it or not, on repeat over and over and over again, because if you did what felt good, what was comfortable, you would not be where you are right now. And I think that's really a good space to really rest for a second and really just encourage all of our brothers who are out here, who are grinding, who don't feel good about where you are, who don't know where the help is going to come from. If you're going in the direction of your destiny, if you're going in the direction of something that you know is better, good is going to come your way. Hope is before you, not behind you, and the best is yet to come. Just keep pushing, whether it's studying for the next test, whether it's looking for the next grant, whether it's finding the next job, whether it's opening your location for whatever it is you want to do. Listen, dig in and believe and trust that what's better is before you. So I really want us to kind of like begin to land the plane. And I believe that us even being in this space is super dope, right? Because we have Chef Saquon Howard with us at the table. Let's put our hands together for this brother, just for letting us even just, you know, be a part of this space, being a Black-owned business, minority-owned business. And I kind of want us just to hear a little bit more about your specific journey. You gave us a little bit of hints of things that you've transpired, but just where you started to where you are now.
No problem. So I'm gonna just give let me get this right. I'm gonna do just give a slight introduction where I came from and to where I'm at now. So for me, at the age of 18, I was having my first son, right? And I'm like, I need a job. But let me fast forward a little before that. I met one of my closest friends, Chef J.R. Robertson, in the shelter. So imagine 9th grade, you living in the shelter, right? But you got to go to school every day. But 9th grade that's your lit, yeah. But you don't want to, I'm going over your house. Damn, you can't even come over my house. You feel what I'm saying?
Wow, yeah.
No, but for real, it's real, right? So we met 9th grade, living in a shelter, became best friends. And then from there, living life, he got a full scholarship to culinary school, Monroe College in the Bronx. So he got that, and he doing interning at a 5-star Thai restaurant in Soho, New York. So I was doing plumbing at the time with my uncle, but I'm like, man, I need to do something. I'm about to have a child, whatever. So he like, I'm gonna bring you into where I'm at. So in one day, he taught me all the French terminology, how to cut, how to talk, certain things that you ask for, because now I'm going to a 5-star Thai restaurant. This is different. This is not McDonald's. Like, you feel me?
Right.
And so we did it. I aced it. 6 months into it, he left. Right, moved to Maryland. So I'm in there now. I'm in there. I'm doing what I got to do. They loving me. But at the age of 18, 19, as we all know, we all just working for a check. I wasn't working to, I'm like, get my money, I'm out. Right? I'm gonna come in late as I can and leave early as I can, right? To get my little coins and be out. But as I was doing it with 4 European guys who owned the restaurant. And one day I came in, they sat me down, and they was like, listen, man, it's not a lot of black chefs. We see something in you that we don't see in a lot of people, but you're not taking it serious. And that's why we keeping you here, and that's why we give you certain positions, and we want you to take it serious. And for me, like going back to what we were saying earlier, for me, there was no one at home to say, nobody said that to me at home, right? And why did I take it differently? Because it was 4 white guys that I don't even know that sat down and they told me this. So I'm like, that's real. And I'm like, why y'all saying this to me? So from that day forward, I went home and I thought about it. I said, you know what? Let me see what they talking about. But I did like it, but I just didn't care for it. So from that day forward, I changed my whole attitude and thinking and how I move. And from there, I just developed my skills, worked with different chefs, going. Now go back to James, Chef J.R. Robinson. Like I said, he moved to Maryland. He kept trying to get me to come to Maryland. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna come to Maryland. I'm gonna go visit. So when I went down there, we started doing a 4-course meal, right? We started doing 4-course meals. Now this is the funny part. We'll do 4-course meals, certain amount of money, right? we doing it. Say 2 people book, right? So now we booked this mansion because we trying to, like, our vision is high. Like, we booked this big crib. We did all this. 2 people booked. Like, damn. So you know what we did? Yo, come on, you want to eat? You want to eat? You want to eat? You want to eat? We invited everybody. Now, we did content. It made it look like it was sold out. You feel me? Like, dang, this joint lit. Everybody like, nah, that's lit. I don't need to go to the next one.
It's marketing.
So when we did it again, more tickets sold, right? And then we kept doing it. Then from there, a restaurant in DC was like, come take over our kitchen. So we like, oh, word, you gonna give us some space? Come take over our kitchen. We don't use it on these certain days. You could pay us. Man, we did that. We skyrocketed, right? Skyrocketed with brunches. Then from there, we would do brunches. They would book us out from LA, Atlanta, Houston, Miami. Now we traveling doing brunches all over. That's how we becoming more successful. Then from there, we started doing like NFLs. I became from there. Then what happened? Then opened up the first restaurant in Maryland, right? Opened it up in Maryland, became successful. So me and him just sat down and talked. We was like, listen, we both doing this. We both young black males. our goal is, we was like, look, by 2026, we each need to have at least 10 restaurants. We need to take over the whole East Coast line. Right. And he has 3, I have 2, right? And we just going, and we just going. And for me, even going into my first restaurant that's location in the heart of North Philly, for me, even opening that location, truthfully, I could have came here first. I could have came to Center City first, but I didn't want to because I wanted to go into the neighborhoods, and because me growing up, we all in the house, we hungry. Let's go get 2 platters of Chinese food and we good. Right? It's gonna fill everybody up and we good. But in all reality, that's not the right way of doing it. We're not eating healthy, right? So I want to show when we can eat good food for the same price. So I went and looked at all the numbers that they selling their food for, and I market crab cake, salmon cake, crab legs, and I marketed for that same price in the neighborhood, right? And it skyrocketed. Everybody loved it. It took off crazy. But that was my whole, and I wanted to show the inner city kids, like, listen, you don't have to be a rapper. You don't have to be a basketball player. You don't have to do certain things to look the way you want to look, right? Nice. I might be losing people. I could move out here. They be like, "Oh, what song did you drop?" "Oh, I don't have music," right? But if you want to look like a rapper, you still can do it in whatever business or whatever idea you have in your mind. And that's why I wanted to show them, like, we can eat good, we can live good. We just have to be positive and do what we got to do, right? And that's why we sitting in this restaurant where we at now, or for second to market, because I just believed and I just wanted, and like you said, I don't do nothing for money. Money don't move me. So if you do stuff for money, I don't think you're really gonna be successful. You know what I mean? Because all you're gonna be thinking about is money. Right? I don't do nothing for money, really. I just do it because for the love and to see a smile on the person's face. You be like, dang, that was like, oh, you like that? Yeah. Oh, I need to do it again. Yeah. That's really what I do it for, you know. So that's just a small glimpse into where we at and who I am.
Well, listen, fellas, that's a phenomenal story. That sounds like a movie in itself. Absolutely. But a movie that was made before 2005. Right.
But we just got to take time on it because they showed the movie in 2 weeks. That's why I was like, and you like, I remember when movies, like, they still shooting that movie 3 years later. It ain't like that no more.
Yeah, right. Technology.
Right.
Yeah, technology is crazy. That's what, you know.
Yeah, man. So I'm really looking forward to the next episodes because, listen, I already feel that this space is rich with value. I know that there's so many more people that are going to be a part of this conversation, that's going to be able to hear, that's going to be able to one day even be in front of the space while, you know, conversations are happening and so forth. So the city of Philly needs this. The region needs this. Yes. And I really believe that this is something that's being done that hasn't been done, and it's time for it. So I'm gonna close out like this, the way we do every Center of Male Engagement event. And it's that when you touch a man, you touch a family. If you reach the family, you'll touch the community. If you touch the community, you can impact the city. And if you impact the city, you can change the world. Until next time, peace.
Peace.